Hello, writing mathematicians. Today I am talking to you about how mathematicians compare numbers by using addition and subtraction. Whenever we're looking at a word problem, we have to ask, what is the story about? What are the quantities and units? And what mathematical question can we ask and answer? So I'm looking at our work from our out of school time packet, and I see that today we are comparing pennies. So I noticed that this story asks, it says that Philip has 5 pennies. Marchand has 11 pennies. Who has more pennies? How many more? Show your thinking with a math drawing. So whenever I'm comparing, I have to think about those less than, greater than, or equal to signs. And if I'm reading this from start to finish, I know the story is about Philip with his 5 pennies and Marchand with his 11 pennies. But now I'm asking, what are the quantities, or the numbers? 5 and 11. To compare those numbers, I know 5 is less than 11. So I can set up my number bond with 11 on the top because I know it's the bigger number. 11 is 5 plus something. So I can start my number line with 5 and jump up to 11. When I jumped up to 11, I counted 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Stop. Then I counted my jumps, and I had 6 jumps. So I know my answer is 5 plus 6 equals 11 pennies. So now I can answer this. Marchand has 6 more pennies than Philip. I'm answering it in this way because this question asked, how many more? So my answer has to have something that says something more. So to read it one more time, Marchand has 6 more pennies than Philip. Going on to the next question of the day, it says comparing pennies part 2. Philip has 5 pennies. Marchand has 11 pennies. Who has fewer pennies? How many fewer? So we know this story is also about Philip and Marchand and how many pennies they have. But this time we're thinking backwards and we're using subtraction. So I started with my larger number because we always start with our larger number when we're talking about subtraction. And I know that 11 is greater than 5. So I can set up my subtraction problem like this. 11 minus 5 equals something. I can also use that same number bond. 11 is 5 and something, or something minus 5 gives me 11. So I can start my number bond or my number line on this side and think 11 jumping backwards to get to 5 because 5 is that known number. So I'm thinking 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. I counted down. If I kept going, it would go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. But I stopped at 5. When I stopped at 5, I counted how many bumps I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I went backwards 6 bumps, so that must be my answer. 11 minus 5 equals to 6, because we know that fact family of 6 plus 5 equals 11. It goes both ways. But this time, the question asked how many fewer. So we know that Philip is the guy that has less pennies. Philip has 6 fewer pennies than Marchand. Thank you for working with me today, mathematicians.